Hello everyone, welcome back Site Peer at Tutorial Zone. In this video, we're going to continue our series on Earth geometry, that is O-level mathematics. I hope you enjoy this one because in this one we're going to go into details explaining the concepts that we did in the previous video, and this will be done using examples. In actual sense, this question is one of the questions that came in one of the exams, though I've done a bit of the modifications here and there so that we should explain a lot in this video. The other videos will also comprise other examples as well, and I hope with these videos you'll become good with Earth geometry. Trust me, if you take time watching the previous video, watching this video and the other one that is going to come, I'm sure by that time you'll be an expert in Earth geometry. So without wasting much of your time, let's dig in. So in this question, we've been given this wire model in form of an Earth sphere, and they have given us latitude 50 degrees north, 60 degrees south. They have given us longitude 50 degrees east. They have given us longitude 55 degrees west, as well as point A, B, C, and D, as you can see on that diagram there. Then the other important data that has been given to us is pi. They have said we should take pi as 3.142 during our calculations. Then they have also given us the radius, which is 3437 nautical miles. So in this case, the examiner wants us to use 3437 nautical miles as the radius rather than us using 6,370 kilometers. As we explained in the previous video, we said radius can either be 3437 nautical miles or can be 6,370. So in this case, we're using 3437 nautical miles. So with that said, let's look at the first question where they are saying we give out the location of point A and D. We give out the location of point A and D. So point A, then I'll say point D. Now, if you remember in the previous video where we did the introduction and I gave out the concepts, the first concept which we were talking about was location of points on the Earth's surface. And in that video, I mentioned that when you're locating points on the Earth's surface, what you do is you write the location of that point in form of the coordinates using latitudes and longitudes. So if you remember, there was that funny mnemonic which I gave out saying la, lo, where I said la stands for latitudes and lo stands for longitudes. So let's locate point A. If you look at point A is here. Point A is there. And this point A is sitting on latitude 50 degrees north as well as longitude 55 degrees west. Longitude 55 degrees west. So with those values and following this mnemonic here, we can safely say point A is, the location of point A is 50 degrees north and 55 degrees west. 50 degrees north, 55 degrees west. That is the location of point A. Let's look at location of point B for point D using the same concept as well as that mnemonic there. We can check out where D is. D is there and it's sitting on first latitude 60 degrees south, or open bracket 60 degrees south, comma. Let's look at the longitude. It's sitting on longitude 50 degrees east. 50 degrees east. So this is what you do when you have been given a diagram and they say you pick out the location of a particular point. You start by checking out the latitude on which that point is sitting, like we have done for point A. It's sitting on latitude 50 degrees north. Then from there you check out the longitude at which that point is sitting. Here for A, we have found that it's 55 degrees west. Then you write them in form of a coordinate like that, and even that. That's how you get the location of points on the Earth's surface. So with that said, we are done with the first question, and I hope you put this into practice as you look at other questions on how you get the location of points on the Earth's surface. Now that we are done with on how you locate the points on the Earth's surface, we can now look at the question which tells us to find the difference in longitudes between point A and point B. So the question is asking us the difference in longitudes between A and B. Now, this should also take you back to the other video, the first video that we did, where we were talking about on how to find the difference in longitudes between 2 points. And in that video, we said that when you are finding the difference in longitudes between 2 points, you need to keep in mind 2 things. The first thing being that you add those 2 points that lie on different sides of the Greenwich meridian. Those points that lie on different sides of the Greenwich meridian. And I remember giving you an easy way. I said for the longitudes combination west-east or east-west, you add, because 1 point is on the west and 1 point is on the east of the Greenwich meridian, which shows that we are on different sides of the Greenwich meridian. So that's the first thing that I said. The second thing that I said was that you subtract those 2 points that lie on the same side of the Greenwich meridian. So for the longitudes combination east-east or west-west, you subtract, because for this 1 point, the other point is on the east as well as the other point is on the east. They are on the same side. Sorry, here is supposed to be west-west. Both points are on the west side of the Greenwich meridian. For those points, what you do is you subtract. So let's see on how we can do that. Let's locate point A first. Let us locate point A. Point A is here. Which longitude is point A on? Which longitude is point A on? It's this longitude here. This longitude here. And that longitude is 55 degrees west. 55 degrees west. Let us now locate longitude B. Longitude B is there. Sorry, let us locate point B. Point B is where I've put a blue circle. And which longitude is point B on? This is the longitude on which point B is, and it's 50 degrees east. So from here, we can see that the combination that we have is west and east. Point A is on the west of the Greenwich meridian and point B is on the east of the Greenwich meridian. So following the concept that we said, that you add those 2 points that lie on different sides of the equator, of the Greenwich meridian, we are going to now find the difference. So difference in longitudes between A and B will end up having 55 degrees west plus 50 degrees east. So we now have 105 degrees. It's neither east nor west. That was how you find the difference in longitudes, following the concept that we talked about on how to find the difference in longitudes, where you add those 2 sides that are on the same side, that are on different sides of the Greenwich meridian, and you subtract those 2 points that are on the same side of the Greenwich meridian. Okay guys, now that we have talked about how to find the difference in longitudes, we now see how we can find the difference in latitudes between 2 points. And here the question says we should find the difference in latitudes between point A and point C. So the first thing you do, get the latitude values of point A and point C, like what we did before. So A is here, and A is on latitude 50 degrees north. 50 degrees north. C is where C is here, and it's on latitude 60 degrees south. 60 degrees south. Now, taking you back to the previous video again, because that video is very important, and I would advise you guys to take time looking at it. Even as you watch this video, you can give reference to the notes that we can get from that video. You should be able to remember that we said when you have 2 points that are on different sides of the equator and you want to find the difference, you add the 2 points. But if those 2 points are on the same side of the equator, for you to find the difference, you subtract those 2 points. So let's see. Here we have the combination of north-south. Point A is on the north, point C is on the south. So this tells us that point A and point C lie on the different sides of the equator. One is on the north, one is on the south. So following the concept that I told you, when you have such a scenario, you add for you to find the difference in latitudes. You add these 2 points for you to find the difference in latitudes. So the difference here in latitude will be, so between A and C, will be given by 50 degrees north plus 60 degrees south. So the difference will be 110 degrees. Sorry, it's neither north nor south. When you find the difference, just say 100 degrees. Just like that. That's how you find the difference in latitude between 2 points. Keeping in mind 2 concepts, add those 2 points that are on different sides of the equator, subtract those 2 points that are on the same side of the equator. So if the combination here was either north-north or south-south, here would have said, okay, let's take for example C was 60 degrees north. Would have said 50 degrees, sorry, would have said 60 degrees north minus 50 degrees north. And our answer here would have been 10 degrees. Why? Because these 2 points would have been on the same side of the equator, which is the north. Hey guys, I know you guys have been wondering right now why in all my calculations I've not used the pi, I've not even used the radius, but now the time has come for us to use that, because in those calculations we are doing, we just didn't need those complicated stuff. We just needed the simple mathematics and the simple concept that I told you. But right now things might get a little bit interesting, but don't worry, it's not going to be something that will be difficult. I'll try as much as possible to make it easy for you guys, and I'm sure you will enjoy it. So our next question is saying we calculate a distance BD along longitude 50 degrees east in nautical miles. So distance BD. Which longitude are we using? We have said longitude 50 degrees east. And if you remember from our previous video, I said that when you're calculating a distance, the first thing that you need to do is ask yourself, since here they're saying along longitude 50 degrees east, it's actually easy. We definitely know that, okay, here we're calculating a distance in longitude. But suppose that they said calculate a distance BD in nautical miles. They haven't said whether it's longitude or latitude. I said the first thing that you need to check for is check where B and D lie. B is here, D is there. If you notice from the diagram, B and D are on the same longitude. B and D are on the same longitude. Definitely from there you will know that we are calculating the distance in longitude. And from our previous video we said when calculating the distance in longitude, the formula is theta over 360 degrees multiplied by 2 pi r. And in the same previous video, I said that theta, when you're calculating the distance in longitude, theta is the difference in latitude. Which latitudes are we talking about? We're talking about the latitudes where B and D are. So B is on latitude 50 degrees north, while D is on latitude 60 degrees south. So when you're calculating the difference, which the things we're from doing, we say that you add those 2 points that are on different sides of the equator. If you look at B and D, they lie on the different sides of the equator. B is on the north side, Earth is on the southern hemisphere or southern side. So theta here is equal to 50 degrees north plus 60 degrees south. Theta here will be 110 degrees. So we can now plug in the values. Because these two are constant, we already know that pi is 3.142 and r is 3437 nautical miles. The only hassle was on how to get theta, and I've already mentioned on how to get theta here. So just try to remember two things: how to find the difference, and you should know that when you're calculating the distance in longitude, the difference will be the difference in latitude and not the longitudes. Will be the difference in latitude. So we're going to have 110 here degrees over 360 degrees multiplied by 2 multiplied by 3.142. Sorry, multiplied by 3.142 multiplied by 37 nautical miles. Since they've said we calculate in nautical miles. So after putting in all the values like that, and when you calculate, should get something close to 6,599.422 nautical miles. Sorry, nautical miles. And this should be written, when you have a number like this, you write it to three decimal places. That is 422. Because there we have an 8 which is above 5, so you add 1 this side, becomes 4.4222. So that's how you calculate a distance in longitude. Theta should be the difference in latitudes. While r there will depend on what you have been given in the question, and this time around I've said we use the 437 nautical miles. So now, with that said, let's go and see how you can calculate the distance in latitude. How you can calculate the distance in latitude. So we now look at how we can calculate the distance in latitude. According to what the question says, it says calculate the distance AB along latitude 50 degrees in nautical miles. Along latitude 50 degrees in nautical miles. So, like I said, the first thing is ask yourself, are these 2 points lying on the same latitude or on the same longitude? In this case, AB is lying on the same latitude. So this means that we are finding the distance in latitude. We're finding the distance in latitude. And if you remember from our previous video, we said that when calculating the distance in latitude, you use the formula distance AB is equal to theta over 360 degrees multiplied by 2 pi r cos x degrees. And I remember saying cos x degrees because these latitudes, except the equator, they are small circles which have their center not located at the center of the earth. So because of that, they don't have the radius of the earth, which is 47 nautical miles or 6,370 kilometers. They have their own radius. And how do you calculate that radius? You calculate that radius using r is equal to r cos x degrees. So in actual sense, what we mean is that this here is just this radius there, the radius of the small circle, and not the radius of a great circle like longitudes and the equator. So the other thing that you need to remember is that since now we're calculating the distance in latitude, theta will be the difference in longitude. When we are calculating, in the previous example, when we are calculating the distance in longitude, theta was the difference in latitude. So in actual sense, they're more like swap. So theta here, for this, when you're getting the distance in latitude, theta is the difference in longitude. If you watch the video that we did first, you will understand what I'm talking about here. So I advise you guys to watch that video. So theta is equal to difference in longitude, sorry. So let's see. Which longitude is A on? Which longitude is A on? A is on longitude 55 degrees west. 55 degrees west. While B is on 50 degrees east. 50 degrees east. So the difference, for you to look at the difference in longitude, we say that you add those 2 points that lie on different sides of the Greenwich meridian, west and east, or you subtract those 2 points if they are on the same side of the Greenwich meridian. In this case, they are on different sides, west and east. So you add 55 degrees west plus 50 degrees east. You have theta is equal to 105 degrees. So you have that, then you have theta 105 over 360 degrees multiplied by 2 by 3.142 by 3437 nautical miles. Let me remove that so that we have space. We have space there. You have 3437, which is our R. Now, what is cos x? What is cos x? Cos x is actually that particular latitude on which both A and B lie. They both lie on this latitude there. What is the value of that latitude? It's 50 degrees north. So 50 degrees. 50 degrees there. Now, here is also, this one is also in degrees. When you do a calculation, you should end up having the following value: 4049.207 nautical miles. That's actually in 3 decimal places there. You should always leave your answers to 3 decimal places there. Then, what you should remember here when calculating a distance in latitude, I'll go through again. I said you check if those 2 points lie on the same latitude, definitely you're finding the distance in latitude. If it lies on the same longitude, you're finding the distance in that particular longitude. Then theta here is actually the difference in longitude. Theta is the difference in longitude. While cos x degrees is at that particular latitude, where those 2 points lie. Please do not make a mistake thinking that theta is actually the value for x. Some people would actually come and put 50 degrees here. That should be something that you need to avoid, because theta is not that particular latitude in which those 2 points lie. No, theta is a difference in longitude. So we can now move on to the next question, which is talking about finding the speed it would take for a plane to move from point A to point B. In actual sense, this has to be, you are now finding the speed that it will take for a plane to move from point A to B in 2 hours. Now, if you remember from the previous video, the formula that I gave for speed was speed is equal to total distance taken over time taken. Now, since we are finding the speed from A to B, we have already, in the previous question, we have already calculated the distance between A and B. So, if this question calculated distance from A to B wasn't there, this question would actually require us to calculate the distance on our own. But since we have already calculated it, we'll just get that value, which was 4,149.2. So yeah, when you do your calculations properly there, after plugging in the values, you should get 2024.604 nautical miles per hour, or knots, because I remember saying nautical miles per hour is the same as knots. So that's how you calculate speed when you have been given the total distance as well as the time taken. But if you haven't been given this, you calculate it on your own. If you have been given both, which is not the case, because to become very easy, you can still calculate using the same formula. But sometimes they can just maybe give you this and that to find this, or they give you this and that to find the total distance there. Alright viewers, let's now wrap up this video by looking at the last question of this questions that have been given. So the question is talking about us finding the time difference between D and C if the time at D is 0920 hours. 0920 hours at D. D is located here while C is located there. Now what you should remember, and which something that I said in the previous video, I said that time differences are not calculated in latitudes, they are only calculated in longitudes. So the first thing that you need to do in calculating time differences is to get the difference in longitude. So difference in longitude between C and D is equal to, C lies on longitude 55 degrees west, 55 degrees west, while D lies on longitude 50 degrees east. So since the combination we have here is west-east, and I said that when we have 2 points that lie on different sides of the Greenwich meridian, you add for you to find the difference. So you have 55 degrees west plus 50 degrees east. With this one, you end up having 105 degrees. That's the difference in longitude. Now, we need to convert this to hours. And I remember giving you the formula: difference in time is equal to difference in longitude over 15 degrees. This should be in hours. So difference in time is equal to difference in longitude 105 degrees over 15 degrees. This should give us hours. Degrees and degrees will go there. When you calculate there, you should end up having 7 hours. 7 hours. You end up having 7 hours as the time difference. Now, once you have reached this point, what you should do is, you get the time difference that you have calculated. Ask yourself, first, the time at D, which has been given before we talk about that, is 0920 hours. This is at D. Now, since you have gotten this time difference there, ask yourself, is C to the east or west of D? This should be the question that you need to ask yourself after I've gotten the time difference. If you look at C, C is located to the west of D. And in the previous video, I said that you subtract the time difference from the time given if that particular point lies to the west. And if that particular point lies to the east, you add. But in this case, C lies to the west. So we say 0920 hours minus 07 hours. This will give us 0220 or 220 hours. So time at C is 0220 hours. That's the time at C. So the first thing, you get the difference in longitude. After getting the difference in longitude, use the formula difference in time is what difference in longitude over 15 hours, over 15 degrees, and this should give you hours. Once you get the difference in time, you ask yourself if that particular period of that particular point you are finding the time for is to the east or to the west of the given point. If to the west, you subtract. If to the east, you add that particular difference in time. The other thing that you have to talk about is if you have 7, let's say for example we found 7.0, or let's say 7.25 hours. These are actually minutes, which is so 0.25. You multiply it by 60 minutes in order for you to know how many minutes you have. Then those minutes, you add them to this number that you have found there. So this, when you have a point 2 something or point something here, just know that those are minutes. You multiply them by 60 minutes in order for you to find what 0.25 minutes are, and then you add them to this value there. So let's say after finding this, you find, let's say or let's say 0.5, so that we make it easy. 0.50. So this means that we have 30 minutes. You have 30 minutes. So here, instead of 07 hours, it would have been 0730, and the answer here would have been something different from this after you do your calculations. So you need to keep in mind this as well. When you have a point, you keep in mind the 60 minutes. You multiply by 60 minutes, those points that you have there, multiply by 60 minutes in order for you to change it to minutes. So with that said, we have talked about a lot, and this video can actually help you to understand the concept that we talked about in the previous video. So you watch them. You first start by watching the first video and come to this second video. Watch out for the other coming video that will explain the concepts more in order for you to keep practicing. It's right here at Tutorial Zone. So I would like you to subscribe, comment. When you comment, you can actually tell us what you need for us to do for you, the videos that you want us to make, the particular topics that you want us to make. You can actually suggest in the comment section. You subscribe, you share, and hit the notification button. Thank you very much. Until next time.